Welcome to Unmasking Greatness. I'm your host, Chris Kokoris, a lifestyle fitness coach and mentor. This podcast is about unmasking your greatest potential, finding your purpose, and crafting a life worth living. Health and fitness has been the gateway drug to all of my success. My continuous drive to keep learning and surround myself with other high achievers forces me to level up, which has developed my mind to something I never thought was possible. This podcast is here to share what I've learned and continue to learn with all of you. This is your sign to take back control of your health, mindset, and personal environment. Strap in as we are recharged, and always, if you find value in the show, please subscribe and share as we can all get better together. Let's go. What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Unmasking Greatness. I'm your host, Chris Kokoris, and today this topic is specifically for all you busy individuals. That's probably all of you guys, actually, now that I'm talking about this. But all reality, we all got a lot of things going, and we all go through the seasons of life. You know, things can smooth out and be a little more calm, and really what we're waiting for is the storm to come. That's what makes life life. Things are constantly changing. And if you don't learn how to pivot, if you don't learn how to manage your time, you will get left behind. And more importantly, one of the first things people let go is their health. That gets the backseat every single time, and we prioritize everything else. So this is why I'm actually creating a new training for our clients, helping them manage their time and be more efficient. Because when you are busy, when you got a lot of things going on, whether you run a business, you work for a corporation, you have kids, you have a family, you have extracurricular activities you got to go to, you're really tight with the time. And when you're starting to potentially work with a coach or get some help, you don't need another laundry list of things to do. My concept is we need to eliminate and delegate. What can we eliminate as much as possible and delegate off to where it's not our responsibility anymore, to free up the time to help us do the things that we need to do moving forward? And so everybody's life is a little bit different, and you got to figure those kind of things out. And that's what we help our clients with. But again, I created a training that is going to be given to our clients to help them with managing a lot of these sort of tasks and things to do. And I felt like, I was like, you know what, this would be a great podcast to share with everyone and give you a little bit of a context and things to think about for yourself. You know, everybody's different. Everybody has a different way of dealing with things. But I promise, if you actually take what I'm about to share with you today, it will be a game changer. It has helped me and tons of our clients already. And again, it all comes down to managing your time and staying focused. Because if you feel like you're constantly saying, I don't have time, I promise you, this is for you. This is exactly what you're going to be needing. And you know, as a health and fitness coach, I'm going to make sure that you still take care of your health, because I promise if you don't take care of your health, everything else around you will suffer. And the real reason this all matters is, again, if you're serious about your health, and a lot of you that I talk to, you guys, I would say majority of people are trying to lose weight, right? And trying to build a little bit of muscle. But ultimately, they're trying to increase the quality of life, which is like their energy, how they feel, their confidence. That comes along with it. So it's about when you're finally going to do the things you need to do. So many people struggle, not because they lack motivation or knowledge, even though that's what they say, but it's more about the fact that you guys are just winging it. You're just drifting throughout your days, and that's where we need to start getting more aligned and more detailed. You wouldn't show up to work every day without a schedule and expect to thrive, right? You need a schedule. You need something put in place, and your health deserves the same sort of structure and the same level of commitment. So I got 5 tips, 5 steps for you guys to really take into consideration. And I promise, apply these, and it will change everything for you. So get a pen and paper and let's get into it. All right. So first off, let's start with the very first baseline. And we do this first off with all of our clients. We need to create a baseline of structure of what their days look like. You know, so again, some people have a 9-to-5 job. Some people are doing 12-hour shifts on and off. Some people have a rotating shift where they're doing first and then they're going to second and third shift. And some people work for themselves. Again, This applies for all of you guys. If you don't pay attention to what's going on in your life and what is coming up, you're a drifter. You're just going to go with wherever life throws you, and you can't expect to win the game by playing like that. I promise you that. So the first step is we want to look at your days, and that starts with having a calendar. You need some sort of way to start time blocking the things that you need to do and prioritize. And a really easy, simple one, and honestly, what I found out to be very, very helpful for myself is a digital calendar. Now, we used to kind of push more of the traditional planners where you actually physically write things down, and I still do use that. But I can tell you, if you don't have that, I would start with something that's more digital. We have our phones with us all the time. And not only that, with these digital calendar, and I keep saying digital calendar, if you have a Google Calendar, this is what I'm talking about. If you have a Google Calendar, this is going to be an amazing tool for you, because now we can start to time block things. And if you've ever used Google Calendar, you can color coordinate it. You can block off time. If you have a work calendar, many times you can integrate it. So this actually integrates with our CRM system, where I can kind of have things in there. But with the Google Calendar, it's cool because you have the ability to block off time, right? So nobody can schedule stuff with you if that's part of your routine and part of your job that you need to do scheduled calls. Or you can plug things in the calendar that keeps your calendar open but send you reminders. So for example, let's say that you are trying to make sure that you're drinking water throughout the day. So maybe every hour or two, you want like a little notification that says, hey, don't forget to drink your water. You can do that. And you can set it to give you a reminder 10 minutes out, 30 minutes out, an hour out from when you want that to be notified, and let you know, hey, make sure you drink your water. You can do this for meals, but then you can also do this for when you need to go to the gym or when you need to take your kids to swim class. This tool is so amazing because once you start to fill it in, right, you'll fill in your time block your week, you can really start to see the gaps of where you have some free time. You also start to see where you can potentially optimize where you put things. So having something you can update and access anywhere helps you plan your week with intention. And this is where your goals go from someday to scheduled, right? How many of you guys are in here listening to this and said, someday I'm going to get back in the gym. Someday I'm going to actually lose the weight. Someday I'm going to start. I promise, if you schedule it, you're putting a deadline on it and you're creating some urgency. This is what you need. You don't need motivation. You don't need discipline. You need structure. You need a schedule to follow. Imagine, again, I say this, like without a schedule, would you even go to work? Would you even wake up? You're just winging it. So when you guys are being successful in the other areas of your life, there's a reason why you're doing it. And I think you should think about that. So first off, you need a calendar. I highly recommend using a Google Calendar. We definitely use that and teach our clients how to utilize that. The next one is, after you finish that, you need to figure out your available fitness time, right? You got to exercise. You got to get some physical activity. Now, I'm not going to make this whole episode about all the benefits that come along with training and building strength and increasing your metabolism, managing your hormones. Just trust me when I say working out is the very first thing you need to put some emphasis on, okay? So you need to look at your schedule and figure out where is the optimal time for this. Many times, I will say, with people that are very tight with their time, is first thing in the morning. That may mean you got to wake up an hour earlier. It may mean that. But trust me when I say the majority of people that we work with, the morning is just the optimal time because you don't have to stop the rest of your day. You know, if you have to stop your work in the middle of the day at lunchtime to go work out, and then you got to get back into work mode, it's difficult to stop and go like that, especially when you got a lot of things going on. You're not going to want to stop. So I would not do it in that way. I would just get it knocked out, right? Just knock it out first thing in the morning. You feel like you accomplished something and you got those endorphins flowing. You're feeling good and just rock and roll. And then if you have kids, you definitely don't want to take time away from them. You don't want to get off work and instead of going home and spending time with them, you're like, I got to go to the gym. So again, don't take time away from them. Put it first thing in the morning. Waking up an hour earlier ain't going to hurt you. And more than likely, you're probably going to bed really late. That's a common reality that we see. Next, you want to ask yourself these questions too, as you're starting to plug these things in, is when we're talking about plugging in workouts, well, keep in mind, you need to eat healthy too, right? When we're talking about weight loss, a big portion of that is make sure that you stay in a calorie deficit. And here's a little side note for you. I don't want you guys to think about a calorie deficit by day. I want you to think about it by week, because so many people that we talk to and work with, I'm so good during the weekdays, and then the weekend comes and I feel like I just fall off. But I do so good on the weekdays. Well, yeah, until you completely sabotage yourself on the weekends. It has to be consistent. Doesn't mean you can't have freedom. It doesn't mean that you can't eat certain things or restrict yourself, but you do need to have some sort of balance and structure to where you are consistently in that calorie deficit that you need to be in. So part of that would be blocking off time to meal prep, or time that you're going to, times that you're going to eat throughout the day, because I think a meal cadence is very important. So meal cadence meaning that you eat breakfast, lunch, dinner, 3 meals a day, and you don't skip, you don't miss. You always eat breakfast, you always eat lunch, you always eat dinner, and you rock with that, and that builds consistency in your day, and you can plug that in your schedule. And so you really want to see where you're starting to waste the time, and that's where you can start to reclaim it for yourself. That's where you start to free up your time. I have met some high level entrepreneurs, and I feel like how do you guys have so much time? I feel like you should be busier than me, and busier than most people, and you're out here playing golf and you're spending time with your family and stuff like that, and they found out the cheat code. And these are the things that I'm sharing with you right now. So whether you're a parent, you're a busy professional, you're a real estate agent, you're juggling it all, this definitely matters. And even if your schedule shifts week to week, which we work with a lot of people like that, just having a general overview gives you something to build from. When you guys do this, if this is the first time you're doing it, don't think the first time is going to be set in stone, this is the one, this is always going to work. You are going to constantly change it over time, and that's okay, but you have a good baseline to work off of. So the third one is, time block it. Time block it all, everything. So take those available hours and block them into your calendar. You want to make sure that you label them clearly as well. So as you're blocking it out, just make sure you know exactly what it is, whether it's workout, meal prep, run to the grocery store, stretching, whatever it is, you want to make sure that you label them clearly. And I actually like to color code them. So all my workouts are one color, all my, when I'm actually taking phone calls, that's all 1 hour, all that. So I can kind of just briefly glance at things and know exactly what I need to be doing for the day. So you have to treat that block of time like an appointment with your future self, because skipping it isn't just missing, a workout or a meal. It's breaking a promise to the version of you that wants to feel better, wants to feel stronger, wants to feel more confident. This is where you're going to really build yourself up and feel like you're actually moving and making a difference in your life. You would never not show up to a parent-teacher conference without letting them know. You would never just not show up to work, because guess what? You probably get fired. So why would you not show up for yourself? Do you not value yourself that much either? Do you not think that maybe yourself will give up on itself? I know that sounds kind of crazy like I say that, but that's what's happening. You're giving up on yourself because you don't even believe in yourself anymore. You have no confidence in your ability to complete anything because you always let yourself down. You got to start with some small wins. And I promise this will compound over time. And when I say small, I think of the smallest things to start with. I mean, if you're starting from baseline, think about even drinking a glass of water in the morning. You say, hey, I want to drink 16 ounces of water first thing in the morning. And you drink a little bit of water, you better finish all 16 ounces. Don't you dare stop at 10. Because here's the reality. You are now starting to negotiate with yourself. So I didn't drink 16 ounces, but I did drink water. I got about 10. So then what happens? You go to the gym, you're like, I'm supposed to do 5 of these exercises, multiple sets. I didn't get through all of them, but I did about 3 exercises. But I made it. I made it to the gym. And then this rolls over into your work, into your personal life, into your kids. You just constantly negotiate and make it sound like it's okay that you're not keeping those promises to yourself, and it's okay that you constantly are breaking it. This is a very bad habit that you are just unconsciously doing, and it will roll and affect the rest of your life. So again, make sure you block off this time. And here's another one I will suggest as well. As you block it off, give yourself some, we call it buffer time. You can't say that I'm going to work out from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. And then you're like, I work at 9 a.m. Do you work at the gym? Is there a light switch for that? You need to give yourself time to drive. You need to give yourself a little bit of time as well to, if something comes up, traffic or whatever, give yourself that buffer time. Because if you get stuck behind, then you start panicking. You freak out. You're like, oh my day's messed up. And, it's a spiral downward roller coaster. Okay. So, all right. So we got you time blocked out. You know what your weeks are looking like ahead of time. The next one is step 4, which is reflection and planning. So you want to reflect on how your week, plan on the following week. So I personally like to do this on Sunday. I wake up on a Sunday morning, I have my breakfast, get a little caffeine in, and I'm ready to rock. I feel energized. I feel good. I think clear. And so I sit down and I look at my schedule. I look at my past week, and some of the things that I ask myself is, what worked really well this week for me? What went really well? What didn't go as planned, right? And why? Why didn't it go as planned the way that I have it? And then where can I improve the following week? And this is how you constantly refine week after week after week. If you don't do this, it's like taking a test and, you never looking at the grades and you think you're just going to move forward to the second grade, the third grade, the fourth grade. You're not going to move forward. Trust me. You're going to be so far behind, completely lost. You need to make sure that you analyze what you're doing and audit your weeks. So pay attention to things like that, and that will help you reconstruct the week. And that's why I told you guys the first time you make a schedule, time block, it's not going to set in stone because you're going to refine it, right? It's like a mold, like a pottery. You ever see you put that clay, just a clay on that little circle and you pedal and it goes in circles. I know someone's like, that does potteries like, Chris, you don't even know what you're talking about. But I have a visual, okay? So hang in there with me. So you pedal and this thing goes in circles, and then you start molding it into a pot. You start molding it, and that's what it is. Like, you just started with this block of clay and you're pedaling. And as the weeks go on, it gets a little more round. And then as the weeks go on, you can start adding some details, some rings, a lip on the top of the pot, So think of it in that kind of capacity, as it takes time for you to refine it and make it into, something that works for you and that you like and you enjoy. And so again, do this before Monday. Okay. That's why I say Sunday. If you want to do a Saturday, do a Saturday. That's fine too. I'm just letting you know, this is what I do. I like to do it on a Sunday, and I plan out my whole week. Okay. The whole week needs to be done, because if I wait for Monday, I'm already overwhelmed and I'm behind because I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. So make this a habit, and you'll start the week with clarity and confidence instead of complete chaos. All right. And here, this one's a big one. All right. The last one I'm going to talk about is being focused. Okay. And even more so, managing your focus, the power of having some deep work, because there are things that you need to put focus on to make sure that you are moving your life in the direction that you want. So if you've ever blocked off time to work out, okay, maybe some of you have done this before. And then what happens, and I see this in the gym, unfortunately, you spend half the time on your phone, scrolling or talking to somebody. I can tell you it's very easy to be physically present somewhere and mentally completely somewhere else. And I used to do this myself too, because I'm like, oh, I work online. I have to message people right away, and it'd be during my workouts. And I can tell you, I had to pull myself out of that hole pretty quick. But that's why I teach my clients to commit to something called deep work, right? And that means when it's time to move your body or prep your meals or do anything that's really important, you got to make sure that you have no distractions, because we are very easily distracted, okay? And some of us more than others. I know myself, I'm very easily distracted. I can't even work in a coffee shop. I just start looking at and watching people. I'm like, what are they doing? What are they working on? Maybe I want to talk to somebody. Yeah, I can't do it. I need to be in my zone. So again, put the phones away, turn off the TV, and you may need to let people know this is your time. Let your spouse know. I had a conversation with a client the other day, and she has to help her husband with some things, running errands. And, obviously she has kids to watch, but she has someone to help her watch the kids as well, which is great. But again, if people are calling and asking for things, you need to let some of these people know because, hey, this is my time. And, you're only talking about an hour out of the day. So if it's not an emergency, I promise 1 hour is not going to hurt anything. So let people know. So then the expectation is there as well. Because if you don't let somebody know and you think they should know, but they don't know, now this is where you have a little bit of conflict because you guys aren't on the same page. All right. So if you are, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, if you guys are living together and having kind of a life together, you may even want to do this together, right? Sit down, say, hey, let's put our schedules. You make yours, I make mine, and let's kind of blend them together to make sure we know where we are in the day and where we have the time to go out on date night and do fun things. And then this is time when we work or when we got to do things with the kids. You want to make sure communication is there because without the communication, this is where all relationships fail. Okay. There's another technique called the Pomodoro technique. Okay. This is pretty cool. I have done this, and I do this kind of frequently as well. It's a method and a good productivity hack. Okay. So, and you can do this for just about anything. You do this for your health. You could do this for your deep work, whatever task that you have to do that you really want to zone in. So this is how this works. First, you pick one thing that you got to do. Okay. Whether it's the meal prep, the workout, whatever it is. Okay. One thing. And then you're going to have a timer. And there's this cool, I don't know what the brand is, but there's this cool, timer that you can get on Amazon that's really cheap, and you twist it and you can set a timer, and it's got a big digital clock on it. But anyways, I use that, but you could use any. But you don't want to really use your phone because that's a distraction. So just buy a little timer. Set the timer for 25 minutes. All right. And for 25 minutes, you're going to work on that one thing, 0 distractions. Put your phone in the other room, turn off any TVs, anything that would be distracting to you. Make sure it's out of arm's reach. All right. 0 distractions. Now, when that timer goes off, take a 5-minute break. Go get some water, get up, move the body a little bit, and then you're going to come back and you're going to repeat that process 3 more times. I can promise you, if you do this, you will get so much done. And it's purely helping us just not get distracted to do something else, right? We have to have that one thing that we have to do and zone in. You ever think, I think about this sometimes, and I've heard this from someone else, where when you're back in college or high school, you had to write that paper, right? That paper that was, 3 pages long, right? Let's say you had to write a 3-page paper that you had to do research on. And if you were like me, I was a procrastinator. I would wait to the last day, right, to write this paper the night before, put it off. And then I'm cramming and I'd finish it in an hour or 2. And you had a whole week to do something like that. Imagine if you wrote 3 pages for a whole week, 3 pages every single day for a whole week. I mean, you got a whole chapter in there, right? But we have the ability to do things, but we don't, because we don't set a deadline. We don't set urgency on it to when things need to get done. The only reason it got done is because I waited till the last minute and now things were urgent, and a lot of people do that with their health too. You wait to the last minute to say, oh, maybe I should start taking care of myself now. I had a conversation with a guy yesterday, and he was at one point 100 pounds overweight. And so that was a very interesting conversation to me because, we've helped 3 individuals in our coaching program lose over 100 pounds. And that's a journey. This is a journey. This is not a couple month fix. I mean, you're talking, minimum year and a half to drop some weight like that, healthy and in a safe manner. So I was asking him about it, and I always like to ask, what made you finally decide to make a change that you needed to, drop the weight? And he told me he got out of the shower one day and there's a mirror right there. So he gets out, he looks in the mirror, and for the first time he saw stretch marks on his stomach. And he said he looked at himself in the mirror and he's like, what are you doing to yourself? What are you doing to yourself? And he said, that was it. He goes, that day, and in that exact moment, I changed everything. I stopped drinking all the juices, the sodas. He's like, I started fasting. I started walking more. Then I started working out and just consistent. He had no help from anybody else. So this is some inspiration for some of you that maybe have a lot of weight to lose. He didn't have anybody help him. He didn't hire a coach or any of that, but he made the changes every single day, every day consistently. And it just compounded over time. And so now he's 100 pounds down and he's been able to maintain it. But what has really changed outside of physically is his mindset, his identity, the way that he looks at food. And he eats what he wants, but he's mindful of the portions that he's consuming. If he wants to have a sweet treat, he told me this. He goes, if I want a sweet treat, like a cupcake, a cookie, and I take a bite and I don't like it, he's like, I'm not going to finish eating it. I don't want it. How many of you guys would actually be like, it's all right, I'll just finish eating it? It's crazy, right? It's a whole identity shift of who you want to become and who you want to be. So that's a little side story for y'all. But next, another great tool is a power list. Okay, this is not a to-do list. This is a power list. So a to-do list is often overwhelming for people, and it's a lot of times full of like the fluff. But a power list is anywhere between, I like to say, 2 to 3 specific tasks that actually move the needle forward. Okay. And you can bump it up as well. But these would be things like, obviously you're going to make a power list for the week, but I also suggest one to 3 max, 3 being the max things to get done for the day. Right. And so if you have a power list of maybe like 5, 6 things to do for the week, you space them out throughout the week. So maybe 2 in the morning, 2 on a Monday, maybe 1 on a Tuesday, 2 on a Wednesday, you space it out, because this is the real secret of actually freeing up your time, not overwhelming yourself with things to do all on a Monday. Many people have a list to do and then they'll end up putting it all on Monday thinking, I'm going to get so much done on Monday and then I'm going to be freed up the rest of the week. Let me know how that works out for you. I promise it doesn't work out very well, because even if you could finish everything that you want to do, you just move on to the next thing. Life doesn't stop, right? And if you're constantly trying to chase something, you'll just move on to the next task. But if you're strategic about it and you say, I'm going to only do 1 or 2 things, you get it done. 1, you'll build some confidence, right? You completed something. 2, maybe it didn't take you that very long. And now you got a couple hours of free time to, do something else, do something fun, go for a walk, play with your kids. You're not constantly working nonstop. So you need to craft it in a way and be very strategic how you lay things out and making sure that you have priorities put in place. So last thing I'll say here is don't forget to rest. And I'm going to tell you this, and this is me speaking to myself right now, because I get caught up in my work. I love what I do. Sometimes things are really hectic, really busy. But again, you need to prioritize rest. Take days off on purpose. All right. You got to take days off on purpose. Don't be like, I didn't have nothing to do today. No, block it off. Block it off. You do not need to work out 7 days a week. You do not need to work 7 days a week. In fact, if you're always on the grind with no breaks, I promise you're going to burn out, and you'll burn out real quick. And you can think you're tough, but I promise you, your mind is not thinking clearly. You're not moving as fast. You're getting a little hazy. You're getting that decision fatigue. You'll see it over time. But I promise, if you can just give yourself a little bit of a break to get refreshed, unplugged, recharge, reflect, you're going to be so much better off, and you'll come back way stronger. So make sure you prioritize your rest. Okay. And that's from a health perspective and a mindset perspective. The number one mistake I typically see with most people is they skip all of this. They don't do any of this. But then they'll tell me, hey, Chris, like I want to change, but don't schedule when they'll actually do anything. They don't schedule anything, but they want to change. Well, for you to change, you probably need to change what you're doing. If you don't want to change, don't change anything you're doing. I know that sounds really like logical and like, duh, Chris, but like think of it like that. If you want to change, you have to do something different than you constantly are continuing to do. It's just a logical decision, right? But you got to want to do it. And if it's not on your calendar, it will not get done. That's why I'm such a big press when it comes to time blocking, time management, because this is a big piece to being healthy. This is a big piece to working out and eating the foods that you're supposed to do and making a life that is not overwhelming. This is a big foundational move. So don't let life steal your health goals from you, because life's always going to be busy. Always. You just have to learn how to plan through it. Whether you get a new job, you have kids, you move, something is always going to happen in life, and you got to plan for it. You got to be ready to tackle it, because I'm telling you, drifting is not the way that you want to go. All right. So I'm just going to recap real quick what I was talking about. You have step one, get that digital calendar. Google Calendar. It's free. Get it. Costs you nothing. Get in there and start playing with it. Set some reminders for yourself. 2, identify how many hours you can realistically dedicate to your health each week, right? You have to make time for this. This is important. It's your health. You only get one of these. I don't even know why I should have to tell you that it's important to take care of your health. You have one body given to you. Your soul's forever, but God gave you one body. Don't treat that body that you were given like trash. That is hella disrespectful. Okay? Take care of it. 3rd, time block your workouts, your meals, your self-care, your work. Time block everything. It's going to help you see visually where you have time gaps, where you can optimize and conquer every single day and every single week. 4, create that power list. Use some of those techniques that we talked about. Don't overload each day with tasks. I suggest 1 to 2 personally per day. And then don't forget, you got to review, you got to plan for your next week before it starts. All right. Sunday's my day to do it. If you want to do a Saturday, you can do Saturday. Any day before Monday, I don't care. Review, audit, update, make it better. You can always find a way to make things a little bit better. And lastly, make sure to rest, right? That's another repeat for myself. Take some rest days. All right. Protect your peace. Protect your mindset. All right. So again, I hope this is really helpful for some of you guys that are super busy, taking some of these techniques that I'm talking about. I know it sounds a little bit like, oh man, Chris, that sounds so simple, but like, then ask yourself, are you doing it? Are you doing it? Because if it's so simple and you're still saying, I don't have time, and you're not doing it, I would give it a shot. What do you got to lose? You're already complaining you don't have time to take care of yourself. You don't have time to eat. You don't have time to do all these things. My life's so hectic. Trust me, my life is just as hectic as yours. All right. Everybody's life is hectic. But how is it that there's people that are able to manage it? There is a way. But unless you're willing to try, you will always be in that hectic, chaotic lifestyle. Don't let that be a normality for you. It is not normal to be like that. And you shouldn't be okay with it. All right. So that's it for today. I appreciate you hanging in there with me with this episode. I wanted to share a little bit more of what we do with our clients and how we help them. So if you ever have questions, you ever need anything, especially when it comes to some fundamentals, if you need help with time management, workouts, nutrition, this is what we do. We're a lifestyle coaching network. We have all the highest level people inside with us to help support you, from hormones to, meal prep to physical therapy to everything that you can imagine. We have somebody for you to help in some capacity. So don't be scared to just ask and see if we're a good fit. All right. So I hope you guys have a good rest of the week, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.